Welcome to another edition. As the illustrious cameraman puts everything together before they hop on camera, they go from being the backstage to being the talent. I will introduce myself once again. My name is Andre, and I am the Vice President of Economic Development at Urban Impact that has been in the Seattle community for the 37 years doing tremendous work with tremendous people, being able to connect with business owners and stakeholders, donors, funders, community partners, other community-based organizations, congregations, and we've been able to see some great things happen when we put our heads together. I guess some could say teamwork would make the dream work, but that might be a little cliche-ish.
Some could say.
Welcome. Good to see you.
Nice to see you guys. My name's Jaleel, without the braids this week. And it's actually great to be back. I've been off of the camera for a little bit now.
And we can hear him, too.
Yeah, some could say that I was speechless these last few weeks.
It's been a challenge to be around someone who generates a lot of energy through their verbal and then the verbal abilities on pause. So it's good to have you back, recovered, strong, and we're excited about this. So today we have a couple questions for you. We want to know, as a business owner, what is the reason for operating in business? Some people say they want to operate in their business so that I want to make a difference in the community, or I want to do this, create jobs, or I want to change the world. Well, that all sounds good.
Yeah, it does sound great.
It sounds
amazing.
It sounds amazing. Yet, I think the real core for most people is don't forget about, especially if they found out, don't forget about freedom, right?
Yes.
Freedom of their relationships,
Yeah.
right? To choosing to connect with who they want to connect with, work with who they want to work with.
Yeah.
Freedom of walking in their purpose,
Yeah.
right? Freedom of how their time is used.
Yeah.
Freedom of their resources. Freedom of their creativity and ingenuity, that it's not, being, as some would say, consumed by other things that may not matter, right? So if we forget the freedom aspect, I think it can be, we could be lying to ourselves. That's just my sense. What is your thought?
That's real. Freedom, option, choice.
Come on.
Let's be real, like control. We don't want to, not everyone wants to exist in a place where someone else is going to determine when you get paid, when you don't get paid, what your hour is worth or not.
Yes.
Like, that's the big thing that calls a lot of people to entrepreneurship is just, I want to have more control over my destiny or my life, or to be able to do the things I want to do, spend the time. I would even say, especially as we get older, a lot of the elders that I spend time with, I learned so much.
People over 40, he's being disrespectful.
No. Like people over like
the
70.
old timers like Andre.
Over 70. Or specifically over 70, because a lot of those people in my life, the way that they look at the world, the way they look at time and energy, it's like when you don't have as much of it, you've got to find a way to use as much of it in the best way possible.
That's good.
And even like, so I was really sick. I couldn't speak. Man, did I think about my words more and my nonverbals.
You don't have a whole arsenal to be able to deploy. You got to conserve them. What am I going to say?
What am I going to use? What am I going to say? What energy I'm going to put to communicate what I need to be said in this moment in the most like efficient way? Or even like looking at other people's nonverbals. It's amazing. Like, you take one sense away and then the other ones amplify. And it was just like, this is frustrating, but I'm more like paying attention. Okay, how are you moving? How are you breathing? Because I need to make eye contact if I'm going to communicate right now.
It's powerful. Well, and there's a scripture that says, be slow to speak, be quick to listen, and be slow to get angry. Quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to get angry.
Yeah.
Wow, what a powerful premise, right? And so when we talk about business, we're asking the question. Some of you have tuned in today because you want to figure out what is your pathway to freedom with your business. Are you going to scale that up, which means expand it? Genesis 1, when God creates humans, he says, be fruitful and multiply. Have domination, have kingdom upon the earth, over the resources, over the creatures, this is a management opportunity that each one of us get to steward, cultivate, and develop whatever it is that we have. And that word to be fruitful means to flourish, right? So we literally have encoded in us, and I know people may have different belief systems, but we firmly believe that we have a creator and that he's given us a blueprint of principles that we can utilize to see expansion, growth, and success in what we do. So this idea of being fruitful and multiplying, I want you to flourish. So that means we multiply deals with scaling, right? I want you to scale. I want you to expand out. I want you to get bigger.
That's huge.
It's not just having children. That's amazing. It says children are the heritage of the creator, right? They're a gift to families. Yet, along with children, your natural thing that we're encoded with is seed to be able to reproduce.
Come on. That's huge. Literally, the mental picture I got as you were talking about being fruitful and multiplying is like a tree of oranges.
Yes.
You know, orange trees, apple trees, and then eventually you get, you plant enough seeds and you care for them and water them. And eventually you go from a tree to an orchard. And there was an orchard in that one tree.
That's good.
But
that one seed.
In that one seed. There was an orchard in that one seed. And as entrepreneurs, especially starting off.
Orchards and orchards and orchards, it blows your mind.
It's insane. Like literally, we could just keep it going. But most entrepreneurs, when getting started, you're concerned with being fruitful. Concerned with, let me make my first buck myself.
Yes.
So then I can,
get my first customer.
Get my first customer so I can make money. And then eventually, sometimes though, you stay in being fruitful into where no one else can do it like I do it. I need to be the main one that does everything. Everything needs to come through me. And then you become the limiter to your own growth. So it's like, you can't be so stuck in being fruitful that you forget to multiply.
It's good.
But the skill set to multiply is a whole nother ball game. So to scale or sail, you know what I'm saying? To get to that point where you can scale, it's like where does that start? Like if you're starting a business, you're focused on being fruitful, but how can you start thinking about multiplying?
That's good. That's good. So this is what we're going to examine today. Is we're going to look at an article from SCORE. It's a great organization for people to utilize. Go to score.org, SCORE.org. And we'll put it actually in the, we'll link it in the show notes. But the reality of it is we're going to cover 7 keys to, scalability, like 7 reasons why we would scale our business. And I love the be fruitful and multiply. I love the fact that you talked about that. How a business is created and started is that you get your first customer, right? But if you want to have if you look at the big ones that we know, the McDonald's, the Burger King, right? The Chick-fil-A. Truett Cathy passed away, who started Chick-fil-A. Ray Kroc made McDonald's. I guarantee Ray Kroc didn't have to go and make fries every day. Right? Truett Cathy didn't have to make chicken sandwiches at the time of him passing. Their wealth continued to come because they set up in their business. Systems. Let's go. They set up systems in their business. So we're going to talk about this because I had a conversation with my children last night in real time, or at least one of them. I was going through the mail and my wife is always like, "Why are you just skipping so much mail?" And I said, "Because all I'm looking for is checks." It's like, I don't care. The other stuff is gonna you feel me? The other stuff is gonna be there. We got bills, we got challenge. Everybody's got that in life. But I'm looking for and so I had found one check from one of our businesses, and then there was I went so fast that I missed another one. And so she found it and this was from a different business. So I was like, wow. And I said, this is work that was done a long time ago, but it's still producing multiplication. This is the ability. So the more I spend time on putting systems in place, and our goal is that we would generationally, when we talk about our community urban impact, is trying to see communities thrive and flourish, right? And expand. We want to see families. We want to see communities. We want to see businesses. We want to see institutions. We want to see congregations. We want to see the children safe out in the streets. This is the type of stuff I hear our president talk about. Shout out to Steve. When we want to see this growth and expansion. And shout out to the rest of our team who's out there, you know.
Oh my gosh.
But we'll just say they're globetrotting right now. They're jet set.
Yeah, they're just doing their thing,
They're
living
doing their
the best
thing.
life. We are a national, international team. I want you to know
Literally,
that.
national international team. So as we hold the fort down, that is, I love the fact of Jalil being here to talk about this idea that he said, first off, you're trying to worry about being fruitful. We want to go out and we want to get that money. We want to get that customer.
Yeah.
But how can you see multiplication? How can you put systems?
Mhm.
How can you replenish? How can you subdue? How can you tread down? How can you dominate in your industry?
Yeah.
This is what we're talking about. So let's hit this article. 7 Reasons to Scale Your Business Like an Enterprise. This was written by Adam Torkelidson. Hopefully I said your name right and didn't butcher it. But Jalil, what hit you about this article?
Man, I think the biggest thing to me. So let me read the reasons for you guys. All right. So why scale your business? All right. So there were 7 reasons that he had to scale: increased efficiency, expand market research, greater agility, improve data-driven decision-making, attract top talent, better access to capital, gain a competitive advantage. It was a really good article, but what kind of really stuck out to me was the first one, increasing efficiency. When you're, and I say that because it's something that you can start thinking about from the beginning.
Yes.
Market research, greater agility, access to more capital. These are the terms in entrepreneurial world that sound great, and sometimes, especially early stage, you might think that these are all the things that you need to be successful. But if you start with efficiency, okay, how can I get more efficient with my time? Or actually, not even my time, my focus. Because time you have no control over. You have control over yourself in a stream of time. So how can I get more efficient in my focus? How can I get more efficient in my customer acquisition?
Yes.
How can I get more efficient in reducing my costs or my accounting and systems? Like, thinking about your efficiency is something that you don't have to have other resources to do. And if you start there, then and you build that habit early, as you start to grow and expand, because if that's on your mind consistently, you're going to see fruit from that, and then you're always going to be thinking, how can I make that money a little bit faster? How can I serve my customer a little bit better and get them their result a little bit quicker, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I love the first point in this article, increased efficiency, because if that is the first thing you're thinking about, everything else starts to come from that. I just loved it.
I love that it talks about some of the things that with procedures that can stimulate scale and growth include automation of tasks, outsourcing non-core tasks, implementing a project management system, creating an organizational structure promoting cross-functional collaboration. Translation: putting effective systems in place. What is your attention given to? Attention is currency. What are the high priority things that must be taken? What is your project management and your task management system put in place? How are you working with your team, right? How are you outsourcing and moving things off your plate that play to other people's distinct abilities, their dominant abilities, and that you play in your dominant ability to produce, they call them RGA, revenue generating activity, so that you're doing the highest and best usage of your time. Yeah. You talked about this before, because everything is a trade-off in life. Since we all have 24 hours in a day, I told somebody the other day, I said, I just wish I had 4 more hours every day. And they said, why? And I said, because every time I'm winding down or I feel like my body's just giving out of, you got to go to sleep, I'm thinking of other things that I want to do. So they said, so how would you use that other 4 hours? I said, well, I'd probably get a quick nap and then I would jump. And they said, and that's the reason why you don't have that other 4 hours. It's what is the attention being given to that is stealing away from that which is the highest priority. Because we all can relate to, some of you are better than others who are watching this right now, with having increased efficiency and realizing how to put systems in place. I've taken some things off my plate, and I desire to take more things off my plate so that I can be more effective as a leader or as a business owner. And this is in every aspect you're in. Yeah. What are your thoughts?
No, that's really good. And I kind of start thinking about, how does someone get to the place where they're ready to delegate to someone else?
I think for so I had someone ask me. They sent me a text. It's a family member, and they have this business enterprise, and they don't see it as such. They're not developing it. They're too much of a, especially when a person is a creative, and when it's a creative work, they are scared. So they show you what they have, and it's more than enough. People will pay for it, and they're like, no, it's not good enough. They have too much analysis paralysis. And so I told them, first off, I told them the 80% rule that I learned. I said, which is I take everything to 80% of as good as I can get it. And then even when I bring on other people who I outsource to, I let them do it 80% as good as I could do it. Because in my mind, I'm going to see a 20% that I could do better. I'm like, I could do this better if I did it myself. But I'd be wasting time on it and losing time of something else. Right? Because one of these activities are soul crushing for me, and they drain me, and they distract me, and they demoralize me, even though this is life sometimes. That's resilience, is that you push through and you wear all the hats at first. Yeah, if you're going for building a system, you can't continue to do the same thing expecting a different result.
Bingo. That's huge. And it's and the tactic in analyzing that 80-20 might be for you. So if you're in business, you're wearing all of the hats for your business right now. So if you want to get to that place where, like, hey, you know what, I do want to eventually delegate. Like, what do I need to do to get to that step? Like, what is the step I need to take? I would suggest write down. You need to audit your time. All right. I heard of this in a business book I read. I don't even honestly remember the title.
No, there's so many. But keep on.
They talked about the time audit, and so they said within a 24-hour period, write down at the end of every hour. So they'd mark out had a little alarm go off at the end of every hour. You write down for 5 minutes what you did, and then the next hour goes and you write down what you did.
Instagram, TikTok.
Oh my gosh. Oh no, seriously. So the person
YouTube.
that had did this.
Except you were watching us. That's okay.
Yeah, you're watching us. This is growth. All right, you're
right.
investing in yourself.
That's right.
All right, by being part of this conversation. So, what had happened with this person that had did the time audit is they found that they're like, oh, I don't have enough time to do these things, and they spent like 3 hours on social media.
Yes.
And then towards the end of their day, they had another couple hours, 2 hours, maybe 2.5 on Netflix.
Wow.
Entertainment, trying to escape. And then they had just like a few hours on actual money-making activity that moved the needle forward.
So our colleagues were two of them. These two actually. Well, these two. I'm speaking in I'm on a stream of consciousness. Excuse me. This is how I talk and think. Anyway, two of my colleagues. He's one of them included. And they were talking about some show that was on Netflix. That the creator of it only. He sold it for a small price, and they took it and blew it up into what was that? Should we say the names of it, because they don't know sponsorships? No sponsorship.
So if you know of it, then you know. But so the show was created. They couldn't get anyone else to buy the show, and a big streaming service purchased the show. The show blew up globally. I mean, globally, okay? So not just the U.S. loved this show. It was translated, blew up, and now the licensing deals that are out there, the franchising deals that are out there is insane. I mean, VR stuff, video game stuff, theme park type stuff, merch, crazy. And now they got like a reality show based on the original TV show. And that's probably going to keep going. So what was so crazy about that, because I can only imagine being the creator, seeing what it became and saying, wow, I got a one-time check in trade-off of multi-generational wealth.
Yeah, you sold your birthright.
You sold your birthright because, and you had mentioned that they didn't believe in themselves. They should have bet on them. That was the first thing you said. They should have bet on themselves. And I was thinking about that, and I was like, that's so huge. Like, no one's going to believe in you. If you don't believe in you, well, who else do you expect to believe in you? People are attracted to the confidence. And so when you become a master of your craft, you put your heart and soul into what you're doing for the purpose of serving people at a higher level, then you can walk in and say, hey, you should purchase my product. It's going to change your life. And people will believe you if you believe you. But if you don't even believe you, then Don't expect the generational wealth because that's not where it's going to come from. The Rocky series.
Yes.
All right, come on. Turned into Creed, et cetera, et cetera. He bet on himself. He was denied.
Yep.
Multiple.
Sold the script prematurely. Bought it back. Had to lose his dog. There's so much. Sylvester Stallone, even Ryan Coogler, who spun off and created Creed, approached him at a party, and here he thinks that after he's done the final movie in his installment, in his mind, with Rocky Balboa, he thinks it's over, and he gets approached by this young 20-something-year-old who's coming to him saying, hey, my dad and I used to watch these movies together. I think you should develop, here's this character, and here's Adonis Creed, who's a son. He created a whole another universe off of it, and it sparked his own IP off of it to spin off. So this is powerful because if we don't think, if us as a people don't think in terms of systems, and what I mean is that wherever you're at, when you're watching this content or consuming it, if you're not thinking in terms of systems, you're losing out. The next point, well, I feel like we can stay on this efficiency for a second, but this automation of tasks, outsourcing non-core tasks, implementing, when he talked about auditing your time, auditing your attention, like figuring out what is your attention management system. People always talk about priority and time management, but what are you doing to rein in where your attention's being given to? Because everybody's paying for your attention.
Come on.
They're paying for your attention.
Literally.
They're constantly barking at the notifications, the bing, 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 join this list, do this, watch this, come here, come on. And then those hours are gone. So when he talks about, and they looked and they saw that those companies have strategically and deliberately made money off that time that was given to that. It's not just this, we just see it as this kind of thing that's there. And it's like, oh yeah, this is here to be consumed. Well, instead of just being a downloader from the economy, what happens when we become uploaders into the economy?
That's huge. That's huge. What that kind of made me think of is, so big streaming service, the Netflix, right? Yeah. You know how you're watching a show and then maybe you binged a couple of episodes and then they hit you with that, are you still watching?
Yeah.
Right? So I saw that Netflix, they were asked, like, what is your biggest competitor? Who is your biggest competitor? Sleep.
It's powerful.
Sleep is their biggest competitor. That's why they always want to know, are you still watching? Is this good enough? Have we designed it enough to keep your attention to the point where you're willing to sacrifice your sleep to stay on our platform?
To make it addictive, because somebody I just was talking to recently who's in this same realm of business, and they were saying how they got to catch up on a series that they hadn't been over the Thanksgiving break. And they said before they know it, they started this series that they had heard of. And it's like now they're so invested, they're watching all these interviews and all these episodes and losing sleep. And exactly what you just said is that it's set up in such an addictive manner. I don't have that service anymore because I don't like that feeling of that you just keep rolling. Roll, literally the credits minimize and then you're already in the, well, I'll just watch 5 minutes of this. Let me just see how it begins. 5 episodes later, 6 hours later.
If you know, and I'm sure you do. All right.
This is so what are you doing for how you're trading your attention? I think Gary Vee talks about a day trading attention. What are you doing with your attention? We want to increase our efficiency. We want to figure out what's on our plate and what needs to come off our plate. Number 2 would be expand market reach. Scalable businesses can expand their reach by exploring new markets. It will be easier for them to develop strategic partnerships and expand internationally. This means innovating products or services that appeal to a broader customer base. Businesses can also scale and expand by collaborating with complementary organizations to offer bundled solutions. So this is powerful. Strategic partnerships and collaborations, right? 2 industries that can complement each other and you don't even see it. Stop seeing people as your competitor.
Come on.
Rising tide lifts all ships.
That's it.
Figure out how to, when Elon Musk with Tesla, he said, I'm going to make a good amount of this open source for you so that there can be more electric cars makers, right? But we will sell the batteries, right? Boom. We will keep another X percentage of things that we have on deck that give us our domination, but we'll also lift up the industry as a whole.
That's huge.
So think in terms of that, scarcity versus abundance.
Come on, that's huge. And so we are getting close to the end of
Yep.
our
What
time.
happened?
So
I'm landing.
So as we're landing the plane, I'm wondering. So if we're speaking to an entrepreneur, so we've kind of been talking to the entrepreneur that's kind of early to mid stage, but what about the late stage entrepreneur that has built the systems? They have a strong customer base, and they're thinking about, should I continue to scale this thing up to another level, or should I sell it? What are some of the things that they should probably process through before making that decision?
It's the lifestyle, right? What are your goals? When you see when you are clear on your vision, without a vision, people cast off restraint, they perish. What is the vision that you have? When you think 25 years into the future, that's 100 quarters from now. What do you see for your life? And if you're building for something that you say, this is going to be an asset that I sell, that will give me a larger amount of capital that I'll deploy to create other assets or purchase other assets, then more power to you. That's okay. It was noble in the time you did it. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. It's actually called the silver tsunami right now. We're talking about this. We're actually in the works of doing some things here as an economic development department to address that and to expose our community into this. Is that the silver tsunami is all the baby boomers who are aging out of their business, and their children and grandchildren and their nieces and nephews don't have an interest to take over the business, but these are cash flowing businesses. How do we take advantage of this wealth transfer and we take these assets and start utilizing them? So that's what I think. I think it's like looking at what you see when you look at the 25-year horizon. Where do you see yourself in that? And are you building something that is worth purchasing?
Come on.
That's, to me, it's like, regardless if you're gonna, that's why it's like we'll continue. This is part one, but it's like we'll continue, but it's like scale. Do you scale or do you sell? Well, you can't sell something that nobody wants to buy.
Come on.
So what systems are we putting in place so that even if you don't ever sell it, it still can go from generation to generation because we built it the right way.
Yeah, and if you build it the right way, your seed can turn into an orchard, and it takes systems to do that. So as we wrap up, thank you for spending your time, investing your time with us during this conversation, and we hope that it blessed you. If it did, please share this with somebody else. All right, be that person of abundance that's going to add something of value. I know you're sharing TikToks and funny cat videos. Share something that's going to encourage them and grow their intellect.
Do all the YouTube-y stuff for us as well. Like, hit the notification bell, subscribe, comment, so it boosts up the algorithm. We have our Thrive Business Accelerator going on right now. Shout out to our Thrivers. That this right now is what we're talking about. Watch this content, go back over it, go check this article out, dig deeper into it. We're going to talk part 2 next time, but we want you to understand that this is why we run programs, is because we want our community to come up into this revelation of how they can build businesses that last for generations, that are prosperous and flourishing.
Come on. And January, towards the end of January, we will have another principles course coming up. All right, so we're very, very excited for that. Again, the principles course that we offer, this is like a software update if you're currently in business, but it's also like a business 101, just drinking out of the fire hose if you've never been exposed to business. So if this conversation is something that excites you and you're like, hey, tell me more about that.
I'm ready.
Stay tuned. We will have more information for you coming the last week of January when our next principles cohort starts. So, all right. Thank you, guys.
Shalom.
Peace.
And